What's up everyone, my name is RoyaleRebelle, and in this video I'm going over the new killer and survivors coming out in Dead by Daylight's next chapter, Tools of Torment. This chapter is set to release in March, and with this chapter we are also getting a new map, which makes this one of Dead by Daylight's largest original chapters. The killer for this chapter is Adriana Amai, aka the Skull Merchant. Her ability revolves around drones. She starts off with 4 drones, and when placing the drones it starts off in active mode and creates a detection zone. Within this zone, the Skull Merchant is undetectable and survivors gain a lock-on progress. If no survivors are detected after a set period of time, it goes into scouting mode. Lock-on is one of the Skull Merchant's special effects. When the lock-on bar is full, survivors are revealed by killer instinct while within the drone's radius and suffer from the exposed status effect until the lock-on meter discharges or if they're put into the dying state. Now while in scouting mode, the drone is scanning for survivors. If it finds a survivor, it returns to active mode. Survivors can disable drones, which return them to the Skull Merchant, and the survivors are left with a claw trap on. If the survivor fails, it reactivates the drone. Claw trap is the Skull Merchant's other special effect. The claw trap broadcasts a survivor's location to the Skull Merchant until its battery is depleted. But if a survivor gets too close to a drone, the drone will enter active mode and the battery in the claw trap will be recharged. The Skull Merchant has to press the ability button to see where survivors are with a claw trap on or within detection zones. And the Skull Merchant's 3 new perks are Game of Foot, Thwack, and Leverage. Starting off with Game of Foot, Chasing the Obsession activates this perk. Damaging gens and destroying breakable walls and pallets gives the killer a 5% haste status for up to 10 seconds. Whenever you hit the survivor at the most chase time using a basic attack, they become the Obsession. This perk definitely feeds into the gen regression meta that behavior is currently set up, but I don't see this being an overly popular perk. While it's interesting, I'm not sure if it's interesting enough to break through the current meta. It should make a great counter to the buff of any means necessary, as killers will get a bonus for destroying drop pellets, and it has the potential for good combos with perks like Nowhere to Hide, which will allow you to see survivors after kicking a gen and use the haste status effect to close in on them quicker. But overall, I think it's a pretty mid perk. But moving on to Thwack. Thwack activates after hooking a survivor for up to 75 seconds afterwards. When a killer performs a break action on a wall or pallet, any survivor within a 32-meter range will scream and have their aura revealed for 4 seconds. This is another interesting but overall lackluster perk, but it does make me curious to see if the developers have something planned regarding breakables. These 2 perks really encourage killers to break items around the map, and while that brings balance to the enemy's necessary buff, I feel like there's gotta be more of a reason than that. And then finally, we have the perk Leverage. Each time you hook a survivor, you gain a token with a max of 10. For each token, survivor healing speed is slowed by up to 5% for 30 seconds. This means after getting 10 hooks, which there's a max of 12, survivor healing speed can be slowed up to 50%. This one I can imagine having some dirty applications, but it would be very combo dependent. Imagine having this on Legion, pairing it with Thatanophobia. Thatanophobia has a maximum of 20% penalty, assuming all survivors are either injured or hooked. Then add a potential 50%, even that if that's just within the 30 seconds this perk's active, you'll effectively create 30 seconds where healing is next to useless and a major time waster. Overall, this killer has some interesting abilities and perks. While I don't think the perks are going to be disruptive to the meta, I do hope to see some combinations out of these. The Skull Merchant's abilities feel a little complex for new players, and I definitely think they'll intimidate newer survivors, but I love the little mini game they added for when survivors deactivate her drones. It's just a really fun detail. I do, however, think players are already underestimating her as a killer. I've seen people say that she'll need a buff before coming out to the game, but honestly, she really doesn't need more than some minor tweaks. I feel like the player base is so used to killers whose ability directly harms survivors that having a killer with M1 abilities and based on information seems weak to them. Like when I play killer, I love using information perks, so getting a killer that gives you great map awareness, I think that's just really cool. But with the current player sentiments around her, I don't imagine we'll see a lot of the Skull Merchant at launch. On to the survivors. The 2 survivors for this chapter are Talita and Renato. Starting off with Talita's perks, they are Cut Loose, Friendly Competition, and Teamwork Power of 2. Cut Loose works well in Chase. After you perform a Rush Vault in Chase, this perk activates. Rush Vaults are silent for up to 6 seconds, and successfully doing a Rush Vault resets the timer. This perk has a cooldown of 45 seconds. I think this will be a fun perk to take advantage of in tiles. It feels like if Dance For Me was made for jungle gyms. This perk definitely pairs well with perks that hide scratch marks such as Lucky Break or Low Profile, and I can't wait to watch people lose killers using this perk. Friendly Competition is a gen repair perk. When you finish a generator and another survivor, this perk activates, giving all survivors from that generator a 5% speed boost to repair speed for up to 75 seconds. This perk can only have 1 instance active at a time. I kind of like this perk, but not for solo queue. Lately, it feels like solo queue has lacked awareness of what generators have been completed, leading to a lot of 3-gen situations. And because this perk doesn't last the full length of a generator, I think survivors are going to be rushed to get the full value out of this, which means they'll go from generator to the next immediate generator and so on, which is kind of what causes 3-gen situations. I'm not sure what the fix would be for solo queue players, but this is just what I imagine will happen with this perk. And then finally, teamwork power of 2. When you finish healing another survivor, you both move 5% faster as long as you stay within 12 meters of each other, or if one of you loses a health state. This perk can only be active once every 140 seconds, and survivors can only have one instance of this perk active at a time. I feel like the thing I like most about this perk is going to be learning what a 12-meter radius is in Dead by Daylight. But in all seriousness, I do like this perk. For players who like to greed healing, this comes with a potential payoff. You'll have the speed boost most killers won't be expecting, and I would love to experiment with this perk and see how it stacks with perks that provide a speed boost, such as Hope. Imagine how fun it'd be zooming around the map in endgame. This could definitely be a meme perk. And then moving on to Ronaldo's perks, which are Background Player, Blood Rush, and Teamwork Collective Stealth. Background Player is the new exhaustion perk. After you unhook another survivor, you sprint 150% of your normal speed for 6 seconds and then have the exhaustion status for 40 seconds. I'm always excited for an exhaustion perk. I'm ready to see how well this perk works against camping. Hopefully that speed boost is enough to get away before killers can get that second swing in, and so then we'll see less hook trades. I'm personally not a fan of killers who camp, so anything that makes that strategy less viable is a win in my book. Blood Rush. This perk activates when you're on death hook. While you're healthy, running, and suffering from exhaustion, you can activate this perk to lose a health state and recover from your exhaustion. You'll also gain the broken status stack for 20 seconds, after which you'll automatically be healed. This perk can only be activated once per match. Like I said, I really love exhaustion perks, so I kind of think this is an awesome perk. I see it working great with like balanced landing or light. It's something I would probably use to get some endgame agility to keep myself out of the killer's reach. And then lastly, we have Teamwork Collective Stealth. Whenever another survivor finishes healing you, you both don't leave scratch marks as long as you stay within a 12-meter range of each other, or if one of you loses a health state. Again, this perk can only be triggered once every 40 seconds, and survivors can only have one instance of this perk at a time. I think the teamwork perks are overall really cool. I would love to see how they combine, but I feel like these perks are especially rewarding for duos or swifts. Obviously, you can still get some value in solo queue, but definitely more so if you can communicate with whoever's doing the healing. The balance of these perks definitely comes from having to be so close to another survivor, because while you potentially move faster and not leave any scratch marks, it's much easier to swap 2 survivors together versus 1. Overall, this chapter gave survivors some fun perks. I really can't wait to try some combinations with these, but that's everything we're getting with the new chapter. What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel so I can bring you more Dead by Daylight content.